Hello, this is Nick Lightbody at Deskspace. I'm going to give you a look at some of the more advanced features in Deskspace CMS v3. We're currently using it to rebuild Deskspace.com, and in doing that it's a fairly good test, I think, for using it on a reasonably demanding site. So on the left here we've got the toolbar. It's currently on the simple features level, hence it's got very few buttons. The top button takes you into Deskspace.com. This is the off button. This opens the site. This opens pages, and down here is some additional tools, particularly for archiving the site and re-importing the archive, so you can move your site from one version to another. Let's open the site. Let's make it bigger. Let's make it like that. We're working at not a simple level, so let's move on to the advanced level. So we get more tools, and we can find pages of the site here. We can search for them in here. For example, I can look for let's look for Berners-Lee. So you can see there are 4 pages with the word Berners within the site. But for the moment we're not going to do that. We're going to look at the list. So down here we've got the list button. So this moves us into a list of the records without lots of the other controls on screen. So if we're just working through the pages, organising the pages and so on, this is the place to do it. So I can sort the pages. That's currently unsorted. If I sort it like that, they sort on the order of these numbers on the right hand side. So these numbers are how you control the order of the pages in the site navigation, and they are sorted alphabetically, which means that 1 is followed by 100, followed by 101, followed by 11. So if you understand how alphabetical sorting works, that means that we can change the position of a page, make it essentially a child of another page by merely adding another digit to the number. Okay, we've got a few little buttons here to help us. Here we've got a preview. So if I do that, I can then look at the page without leaving the list. Indeed, I can navigate it in the ordinary way without leaving the list. This button is the duplicate button. So if I want to make another copy of Deskspace CMS and change that into another page, I can click this button and make a copy. These are marker buttons, and if I do that, I get all the pages that I've marked, which gives me a subset. If I do that, I get everything. So it just gives us a simple way of restricting the set of pages we're actually working on at the moment. Okay, we can delete pages here, and if we click on the arrow buttons here, we actually open the page in preview. I'm going to move this over here a bit. Now, preview has got several different versions, if you like. The simple one is this, and there is a much simpler one with just preview and live on it for the simple beginner user. But this is a single pane preview, like that. We've also got the multi-pane, 2-pane preview, and this comes in 2 versions, this one and this one. So in this case, the preview pane itself of the page is the stretchy part. In this one, the stretchy part is the content, Okay. So with these 3 different versions of preview, you can pretty much work how you want. And at the moment, because I've been sorting out all these pages, reducing them and writing new pages, the easiest way for me to work is 3-pane. So I can just say I want to look at this one. That opens it over there, so I can see which one I'm on. I can then amend this. Let's just remove that. That's not required anymore because the background image behind the page title is put in without requiring code in the markdown. Products, what are we going to do with those? Yeah, we'll update that page. That page is probably pretty much okay as it is. If it's okay, I'm going to just mark it here to say that it can be shown in the site navigation. You see there's 3 here. One is don't process the page at all. If you've got very, very large pages, then if you check that one, it means that when you do a site rebuild, you don't have to wait while it churns its way through 100,000 words of text. If you put make a very, very large page, it means you can then choose, obviously, when you reprocess that sort of more demanding page. The normal pages are processed in milliseconds. This one excludes a page from the XML site map that's automatically uploaded to the web server, and so that's going to make it far harder for any web bots to index the page if you exclude it, and this excludes it from the visible site map, and that's the site navigation. So when you first make a page, these are both checked so that the page, although it may be uploaded, is effectively invisible to other people unless they know what the URL is, and then when you uncheck these, it fully publishes it. But if you want it to be in the XML site map so it gets indexed, but you don't want it in the site navigation, you can have it like that. Okay, but products is the main page, so we're going to show it there. Okay, what else we got on the screen? Here we can search the code on the screen. Now, there's not a lot of code on this page, obviously, but if there's a lot, then being able to search for certain terms is quite useful, and you search for 4 different words there, words or phrases if you wish. Here we've got the meta information. We've got the page, just the page name showing on this one. Here we've got the sandbox, which uncompressed shows you the code that's created the current page. So here, if you want to experiment to work out how to change the appearance of a page, this is where you can do it, because it's completely non-destructive, because this page is rebuilt every time you click that button, or a rebuild is called automatically. So it means, for example, if I just come in here and start messing with the code like that and see what happens, then we get whatever happens. Not a lot, actually. Let's mess with some more code. How about that? Oh, that doesn't like that much, does it? Let's take some more out. Okay. If I just rebuild the page like that, you get it back again. This is the whole point. The point is that Deskspace CMS is taking your input, which is your markdown input. It's plain text with a little bit of code just to tell the app how you want to format different paragraphs. You can put in short form Deskspace CMS links, etc. You can put them in using the app itself, or you can write them straight in yourself when you know what the syntax is. But every time that this is rebuilt, it takes this data and it produces this. And we can search this as well. So if we, for example, we want to search for, I don't know, let's say we want to search for border. And we go down here and all the cases of border now are showing up, etc. So you can put in 4 words, one after the other if you want to there. And this is the live view. Okay, so the live view is obviously going to look very, very similar to the preview on the right here. Now, we can change that, the functionality, etc. is all exactly the same. So let's go back to my favourite view, which is this one. We can also save the place in our text. For example, if we want to insert some text from the main app interface, if we, for example, do that and save the place, then when we go into the main app interface and insert text, it'll ask us if we want to put it at the last inserted place there or at the end there. And you can do that to put in images, links, etc. Once you're familiar with it, of course, very often it's far easier to write the stuff in straight, but when you're learning, being able to do it automatically is obviously very helpful. Now we've got a little bit of something to do here, because looking at the right hand side here doesn't look quite right. Okay, that's because I put a space in there. This is a good way of just showing you how this works. A couple of basic rules. Let's take all the spaces out of here a moment and see what happens. Okay, so rule 1. The background image, if any, of the page title, which is this, level 1, H1, that will be extended to include anything until you get to a blank line like that. Okay, so this means we can then use a partial background image extending from the top of the page down if we so wish. We can also separately put in a background image for the whole page, which is a different thing. Okay, so I'm going to put a space in there. So this now means the background image terminates here. The next point is whenever you have a level 2, it makes the paragraphs after it until it reaches an empty line full width. Level 2 is always full width. So if we look at what follows it, if I put in the space there and click over here, you see that the paragraphs following have now gone into a single left-hand column. And because I haven't put a space in front of this level 2, it's been forced into half width. I put a space in there, put a space in here, then this goes back to that. If we then, for example, do that, we're going to get that. So because you can see what's happening instantly as you do it, it's pretty easy to work out how this works. And if you want to get a particular effect, just experiment a little bit and you'll soon work it out for yourself. If you do have a big problem, then you can use the revert page command, which will revert it to what it was the last time you saved it. I just saved it then. Now, if you want the smaller stuff to go into 2 paragraphs, then you can do it like this. If I just take this one here, for example, for the moment, and put it in there, it goes into a column, right? And if I put a blank line in, it goes into 2 columns. Okay, so just do that again, take out that space, it goes a single column. I'm just going to take this one and put it back where it belongs. So that's a quick overview of some of this, but I'm just going to take this stuff back and close it up again and leave it as it was, because that was okay for what we want to do here. So without doing anything more than changing where you've got blank lines, you can control how your stuff lays out on the page. We also want to look here, I think, at the different H1 to H6 style. So look, this is H3. All right, we've got some already, but this is going to be H4. This is H5, so it's getting smaller. And this is H6, which in fact in this particular theme is the only left aligned normal body of text style. Now that's all very well, that's great. You may not like how this stuff is designed, but of course up here you can just change to a different theme. Okay, so in fact the one we've just gone past here, Brighton, that's the theme that we've used up until now in Deskspace.com, and we changed from Brighton to Pavilion here, which is our new theme. Those of you who know Brighton well will understand the reference to Pavilion. Now, the standard themes that ship with this are all very similar in structure. They're basically just different colours, but then you can change them as you want. And I think you can probably see from the differences between Pavilion, as an example, and the standard themes that there's a great deal you can do with the tool set that we've provided. So I'm just going to take these out here and take that back to that. I'll just publish that page like that, so that's now been published. Let's look at it live. That's how it looks now, that's fine. Let's look at some other tools while we're here. Coming back to our list on the left here, let's look at another screen here. Okay, that's about DS Benchmark. This is about some more stuff on that. This is a new download page I've just sorted out. So half of these pages have just been converted from the old version, and some of them have been rewritten. Right, let's go back into the site and take a look at the design interface. So the design interface is here, and this is where we can change lots of things. So on the left, we're currently looking at Pavilion, and in fact it's the settings for the page we've got up here, what is Deskspace CMS. So if I change something here, it's going to change over here. And a fundamental thing to understand about the Deskspace CMS themes is that they have two levels, in the sense that on this screen here we've got theme controls. So if I change one of these items, for example I change this H2 font size there, do you see on the right it just changed? Let's do it again. Okay, it's getting bigger. Let's change it back again because it'll be too big. Now that's changing the theme, and that means that every page on the site, in the app, that's using that theme will then change automatically. But what I can also do here is I can edit the page, and currently the settings are all blank other than this 50% here. So if I remove that 50% and rebuild the page, we'll see if that changes it. Looks like the theme's set to 50 anyway. Yeah, the theme is set to 50. Let me just change this to 75. Now let's say 62 is a better ratio. So if I now rebuild that page, you can see that the columns have gone to a different proportion because the 50% setting in the theme has now been overridden on this one page by that setting there. And this applies for everything. So if we go back here, all of the settings on here can on any particular page be overridden by whatever you put in here. So this gives you a considerable level of flexibility. And let's look at what you can actually adjust. On the left, we've got the default items. So we've got the default font family, default background color, there's none, default text color, default hyperlink color, both the same. Notice that these colors are in RGBA, and hence you can play with the last number and reduce it from 1 to point something less than 1 to reduce the opacity of that color. And we're going to show that in something else in a minute. We've got default page or theme behavior, 1000 pixels wide, navigation width, left column percentage, preview width, and line height. And then down here we've got the breakpoints. So the breakpoints are for the points at which the different CSS comes into play for different size media. If we look at this screen here we've got the theme font sizes and also the page overrides, of which there are none at the moment. So while on the theme page here we've just got one number, the numbers behind it are these. So when I changed H2 just now, it actually did that. So all of the numbers went up by 5% or down by 5%. And the maths of it is obviously slightly different to keep the numbers in line, up by 5% and down by something slightly less than that from memory. But the point is that if you're on a very small device, you get this top row of sizes for everything. As the device screen gets wider, so the font gradually gets smaller. And this is with 4 breakpoints, so we're actually dealing with 5 different sizes of the type, the font for each of the H1 through to H6. Up here we've also got a little field that we can put a note in, which is part of this theme, enabling us to describe to ourselves how we've designated each of these styles. The point being that you can change these styles as you wish, and normally in a lot of the themes we have, the normal text style is H4. In this particular theme is H6, because we had so many headings and things. H6 was the last one we got to. Okay, so this area here, wherever you see this symbol, this shows you the top menu, or top navigation, the menu and the footer. It's fairly self-explanatory once you've worked out what the rest of it is. It's got some previews down here showing you what these different things are going to look like approximately. Here's the page overrides. Here's the CSS. So if you have the Pro version, then you have access to this, so you can edit it yourself. And of course, the as you saw elsewhere, you've got this ability to highlight any terms you're searching for, or then clear them. I think I might just touch on font families. Font families is an interesting one. Font families, as you'll know, are divided into 3 different types: sans serif, serif, and monospace. And all fonts come within one of those 3 families. And your browser in in the absence of any other information, will use its default sans serif or monospace font. And so what we've got here is a full set of font families that we have organised, which you can use and you can change, of course, if you wish, which seem to work fairly well across a variety of devices and systems. And in this particular theme, here are the actual font families that we are using. Okay, and we could have whichever set we want. In fact, thinking about that, we're actually currently using GIL, which is sans serif, and these are serif, but let's not worry about that for the moment. You can put in whatever you want. The key thing to understand is that we're not supporting using web fonts. Web fonts are, someone said recently, they're the new Flash. They're exceptionally large and slow. We do speed, so we are going to work with whatever fonts the user's device has got available, and the way to do that is to have the right font families and then select the right font family for this particular case. So if you look at this, we're going GIL Sans, MT, Calibri, and then sans serif, and that seems to work pretty well for us. But you just have to try these things out on different devices. So that's a look at the design side. I think that's probably enough for this particular session. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm just going to close this back down. We'll just close these pages we opened earlier in preview. You can see they're all sitting on top of each other. And close that down and say cheerio.